All right, let's talk about question number one. How do I know if or when I should leave a marriage?
Yeah.
Because that's a really tough question.
Yeah, it is. The word leave is the word that's kind of bothering me a little bit. Are we talking about leaving, separating? Are we talking about divorce? But let's just start with the leaving part, the separation part. Now, the Bible says in Romans 12:18, if possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone, right? So the idea here is make sure that you are doing everything in your power to live at peace, to make peace in this relationship, in this home. Because the Bible commands us to do that, right? So we have to make sure that if we decide to leave, that we can leave by also saying and knowing and having the peace to know I did everything I possibly could to mend this relationship from my perspective, right? So that's the first thing I would say. If you, and this is quite obvious, and Mike has already dealt with it, I'm sure he'll probably deal with it a little bit later with this abuse thing, but this goes without saying. I mean, if you or your children are in any physical danger of some sort, it's time to separate, right? Now, I didn't say divorce, but I would say it's time to separate because you have an obligation, a moral obligation to protect yourself, right, and your children from any hurt, harm, and danger. So there's that. Now, if there's no physical threat, then separation should always be the exception and not the norm, right? You don't want to always, well, we just had a big argument. I'm going to go to the hotel and I'm going to spend the night there. I'm going to go spend the night at my parents' house. No. If there's no physical threat or danger, then separation should always be the exception and not just something that you run to because you don't really want to deal with the problems that are really going on, right? But another time that you may want to consider leaving is repeated unrepentant infidelity. Notice how I phrase that. Repeated unrepentant infidelity. So somebody is continuing to cheat on you and they're not repentant, or maybe they're continuing to cheat on you and they are repentant. But no, if they're continuing to cheat, then they can't also at the same time claim to be repentant, right? Mm-hmm. So this idea of continued infidelity would be reason. Now, I'll say this: if there's no abuse and there's no adultery of any kind, and you as a Christian spouse decide to leave, and you actually do go through the divorce for reasons other than what I just mentioned, and this is just my perspective. Some people may have another one, but the Bible does not encourage remarriage in this instance, right? The Bible doesn't encourage you, oh, okay, well, there was no adultery, there's no abuse, and we were two Christians and we just separated for irreconcilable differences. The Bible doesn't say that. It doesn't encourage in anywhere that you can go and get remarried. It's like, okay, if you leave, okay, that's fine. It's not God's will, but it's fine. But no, remarriage is not encouraged in that situation.
Yeah, I think that was that. What was the last verse we talked about? The 1 Corinthians 7 where he said, like,
yes,
you can leave, but
you either be reconciled to your own husband or remain single.
Yeah.
Exactly.